CMA students, welcome back to the channel. In today's class, we are going to continue our CMA Inter Law preparation. Today, we will discuss some very important section related to accounts and audit. Our main focus will be section 128 maintenance of books of accounts, section 129 financial statements, section 129A periodical financial results, section 135 corporate social responsibility or CSR. These sections are very important from an examination point of view because there are many numbers, time limits, exceptions, and responsibilities. So don't just try to memorize everything. I will explain each provision in a very simple way, and whatever there is a number or time limit, I will specify and tell you to remember it. So let's start it. Section 128 Maintenance of Books of Accounts. So, Section 128 deals with the maintenance of books of accounts by a company. In simple word, the law says that every company must properly maintain its accounting records. These provisions are effective from 1st April 2014. Now, let's understand this section step by step. What are books are required to maintain? Because every company has to maintain books of accounts, other relevant books and papers, and financial statements. The basic purpose is that the company should have proper records of all its financial transactions. Now, place of maintenance. So, where should the books be maintained? Normally, the books of accounts should be kept at the register office of the company. So remember, section 128 books of accounts and registered office. This is a very simple point, but it can easily come in an MCQ. Now, place of maintenance. So what should the books now? The book should give a true and fair view of the company's financial position. Also, it must include transactions of all branch offices, if any. So, whether the transactions happen at the registered office or at branch office, the company should be able to properly explain and record it. Now, financial year. Normally, the financial year of company ends on 31st March every year. There is also a special provision for a company incorporated on after 1st January of its financial year may end on 31st March of the following year. Also, the central government may allow a different financial year for a subsidiary, joint venture, or associate company incorporated which is outside India. So, for exam purpose, remember the main rule. Financial year normally ends on 31st March. Now, explanation of transaction. The company should be able to explain its all transactions carried out at which is at registered office and branch offices. This means the company should maintain proper records and supporting information so that the transaction can be understood and verified. And finally, is basis of accounting. This is another important exam point. Books of account must be maintained on accrual basis or double entry system of accounting. So remember this combination. Section 128 accrual basis plus double entry system of accounting. Now the overview of place of maintenance of books of accounts, section 128 subsection 1 of the Companies Act 2013. So first is default place. The books of account and other relevant papers are required to be kept at registered office of the company. Second, other place in India. The company may also keep all or any of the books of accounts at any other place in India as the board of directors may decide. Third, ROC intimation. In such a case, the company shall file with the registrar of companies a notice in writing. Fourth, time limit. So, what is the time limit? The notice must be filled within 7 days of the board's decision. Fifth, notice details. The notice must contain the full address of that other place where the books of accounts are to be kept. So, the summary is register office by default, other place in India also kept, inform ROC within 7 days of full address of the places. Now let's move to an other important section 128.1 electronic form of books of accounts. Can a company maintain its books of accounts electronically? The answer is yes. The company can maintain its books of accounts electron form, but there are certain conditions. Let's understand them one by one. Condition number 1. It should accessible in India. The records must remain accessible in India for future references. Condition number 2. Complete and unaltered. The records should be maintained in the original format or format that accurately represents the original information. In simple words, the data should not be charged or manipulated. Condition number 3. Branch information. If information is received from branches, must not be altered and should reflect what was originally sent. It should represent what was originally received from the branch only. They cannot alter or change in the data itself. Condition number 4. Readable. Electronic records must be capable of being displayed in legible or readable form. There is no use maintaining records electronically if nobody can actually read them. Condition number 5. Proper storage system. The company must be proper system for storage, retrieval, display and printing of records. Now sixth condition is regular backup. This is very important point. Regular backup must be maintained periodically on servers physically located in India, even if the records are maintained outside India. So remember, backup severe physically located in India. Now seventh condition is annual intimation to registrar. At the time of filing, financial statements of the company must inform the registrar about name of the service provider, IP address of the service provider, location of the service provider and cloud address if books are maintained on cloud. So these details are important from an MCQ perspective. Proper books of accounts in relation to a branch of the company, section 128 subsection 2 Companies Act 2013. Now what does the section say? Where a company has a branch office in India or outside India, proper books of accounts relating to the transactions affected at the branch office may be kept at the branch office. So whether the particular branches related in India or maintained by outside India, their accounting should be kept in a branch office or registered office. Now, provided proper summarized returns periodically must be sent by the branch office to the company at its registered office or the other places as decided by the board of directors. Now let's say this is the branch office which is in India or outside India. So keepers proper books of accounts and sends proper summarized return to the company at registered office. This is the branch office and this one the registered office which is situated in India or as per the decision by the board of directors. Now, branch can maintain its own books of accounts but must regularly report to the registered office or company. So, B to R. B means branch maintain the books of accounts, and R, regular summarized return sent to the company. Got it? Now, coming to the section 128, subsection 3 and subsection 4, that is related to person who can inspect. So, under section 128, the directors can inspect the company's books of accounts and other records. Inspection can take place at the registered office, any other place in India decided by the company, or inspection is allowed during business hours only. Now, financial information which is maintained outside India. What happens now? Suppose the company maintains some financial information outside India. So, what will be happen? Copies of financial information maintained outside India must be kept and produced for inspection by directors. Also, summarized return of books maintained outside India must be sent to the registered office quarterly. If a director needs detailed financial information, director must request it from the company. Company must provide it within 15 days of receiving of the written request. In which day? Within 15 days. The director must seek this information personally, not through a power of attorney holder, agent, or representative. And remember one important point: it cannot be done through power of it can be done through power of attorney, agent, or representation. Subsidiary inspection. If the books of a subsidiary company are to be inspected, the inspection can be done only by a person who is authorized by the board of directors, and the officers and employees of the company must provide reasonable assistance to the person conducting the inspection. Now, coming to the most important section, that is period of maintenance, section 128, subsection 5. Every company must keep its books of accounts and supporting vouchers in good order for at least 8 financial years immediately preceding the current financial year. So, for 8 financial year immediately preceding the current financial year. If the company has existed for less than 8 years, it must maintain records of all the years since its incorporation. If the central government orders an investigation, it may direct the company to keep the books for a longer period than 8 years. So, in case of any investigation or other default, the government can keep, say, company to keep the books of for a longer period than 8 years for investigation purpose. Now, the person who is responsible for maintenance and penalty, it is coming under section 128 subsection 6. Person responsible for maintenance and books of accounts, the persons lie with who will be the managing director, MD of company, full time director of company, chief financial officer, CFO of the company, any other person who is authorized by the board of directors. Now, penalty and non compliance. If any of the above persons violate the provisions of section 128, fine minimum is 50,000 and it will be extended up to 5 lakhs rupees. Now, section 129, that is financial statement. What does a financial statement include? It includes balance sheet, profit and loss account. For non-profit companies, they will prepare income and expenditure account. In company's perspective, they will prepare balance sheet and profit and loss account. For NPO or NGO, they will prepare income and expenditure account. Then coming to the cash flow statement, statement of changes in equity if applicable, and notes to the account. This is the explanatory notes. Now this is the exception point. For one person company, OPC, small company and dormant company are not required to prepare the cash flow statement. Basically, what is the cash flow statement? Incoming and outgoing cash transaction will be recorded in the cash flow statement. Now, financial statement should give a true and fair view of the company's affairs. Comply with accounting standards, which will come under section 133. Be prepared in the prescribed format, schedule 3. Follow the requirements of accounting standards. Now, exception to the form and content rules. The prescribed format does not apply to the insurance company. That means these formats, the above format will not apply for insurance company, banking company, companies engaged in generation or supply of electricity, any other class of companies as prescribed under the act, because these are uh, generated under the insurance company act, banking company act and other act. They will not follow the company act. Now, notes to accounts. Every financial statement must include notes to accounts which provide additional information and disclosures required under the Companies Act. Consolidated Financial Statements CFS Section 129 under Section 3 and Section 129 under Section 4. So when is CFS is required? If a company has one or more subsidiaries. So be careful students. In case of company has one or more subsidiaries, it must prepare its own financial statement and consolidated financial statement of the company and its all subsidiary. First, they will prepare its own financial statement and then will prepare the consolidated financial statement where they should mention their own financials plus financials of all their subsidiaries companies. Now, presentation at AGM. The CFS, Consolidated Financial Statement, must be laid before the annual general meeting AGM along with the company's own financial statements. Statements of subsidiaries. Along with the financial statements, the company must attach a separate statement which is under Form AOC 1 containing the salient features of the financial statements of its subsidiaries. Now, associate company. For the purpose of consolidated financial statement, associate company is also included. So, in case of subsidiaries or associate company, they must prepare consolidated financial statement. Now, preparation of consolidated financial statement. CFS must be prepared following Schedule 3 of the accounting standards and in accordance with the applicable accounting standards. Let's say someone will follow accounting standards and someone will follow Indian accounting standards. So, as per the company's schedules and rule, they should prepare balance sheet as per the Schedule 3 and accounting standards. Now, exemption from preparing CFS. A company is not required to prepare CFS if all the following conditions are satisfied. Condition number 1. It is wholly owned subsidiary or partially owned subsidiary and other members do not object. Then CFS is not required. Condition number 2. Its securities are not listed. Securities means shares, debentures, and are not in the process of listing or any stock exchange, then CFS is not required. Condition number 3. Its ultimate intermediate holding company prepares and files consolidated financial statements complying with accounting standards, then it is not required. Now, applicability. The provision relating to preparation, adoption and audit of financial statements also apply to consolidated financial statements. So students, this is all for part 1 of accounts and audit. I hope the concepts discussed in today's session are clear to you. Make sure you revise the topics once and try to understand the concept rather than just memorizing them. We will continue the remaining topics in part 2, so don't forget to watch the next session. Thank you for watching and I will see you in the next class. Keep learning, keep revising, and all the very best.